welcome back to a preview. The day before we play Fiorentina, actually. A game we definitely need to win because it's an important one for us. We need to. Oh, that's worse. We need the 3 points for the league standings, obviously, but also just in general for the good feel factor because it's the last game in Serie A before we move to the Supercoppa, before we play the Supercoppa, before we play, in my opinion, some meaningless games, to push that mid-season, not even in Italy as well, just in general. That's that. And also ahead of a transfer window, I think nobody would have imagined we should be having at the start of the season. I think nobody was going into the season with the idea of we need to do something big time, quote unquote, in January. However, due to circumstances, we need a big time transfer window in January, which is not evident because getting players in January is never easy. It's always difficult, and now we need to do that in key positions because you lost one key player in Bremer, and nobody knows what type of player, excuse me, Cabal was gonna be or will become. So we don't know that, But in general, it's a big time game tomorrow. Not because we play Fiorentina, because I think Fiorentina fans are more, bothered by the fact that they play Juve rather than Juve fans being all hyped that we play Fiorentina. But it's a tough game. In recent memory, like I don't know, somebody needs to, maybe let me know what was the last easy game we had against Fiorentina. I remember like 5-0 with Vidal and Fucinic. But easy games against Fiorentina, they're not really out there, And recently, I think we play very poor games, especially at home against Fiorentina. It's even worse at home. I think last season game was absolutely horrendous to watch away. It wasn't 0-0. That was one of the worst games just in general for both teams. Like that was just a snooze fest per definition. But I don't think it's going to be that tomorrow. I don't think with Palladino, Fiorentina will come to the stadium and sit back, and just wait it out and show us some respect. They will not show us any respect because Monza are not showing us respect, to be honest. I think the only team that, quote unquote, came to play us and, sat back was Napoli. And they did what they had to do, I guess. Venezia, I had a feeling. And other than that, I don't think many clubs really, in recent, time, came to the stadium or just at their place and we're like, okay, we're gonna sit back against this Juve side. In recent times, excuse me, I think they're just really going for it lately, which is not a very good thing for us. It was at the beginning of the season when teams came for us. I think we played much better against those setups, but right now we're not playing good against any setup. To be honest, if a team sits back, we cannot really break them down. I know post Monza, Mota said that we struggle against teams that sit in a low block, which I agree. However, I don't think Monza was really trying to do that. They just played us, and we couldn't really stop us to an extent. I think we should be able to stop a team like Monza, and that's a worrying thing, obviously. But we need to deal with that. We need to deal with that tomorrow, and we need to win that game. Like I said, for the morale, the boost, just the feeling, a new season, a new year, excuse me, ending the old year, ending this year with a positive feeling because I don't think anyone wants to go in 25 with a loss against Fiorentina or another draw against Fiorentina at home. Keep in mind at home. And then looking at that Super Coppa, like I already do not really care about that. And now I need to sit there and watch whatever we are going to watch with in the back of my mind. We dropped more points in the league, and I don't know what's going to happen in January with transfer. So things to worry about. Win tomorrow, and you have one last thing um, to worry about, to be honest. But yeah, Mota spoke. Again, I'm not in my usual setup, so I cannot put up the quotes. So I'm gonna go through them a little bit. I listened to it. I didn't watch it. I just had it on the background, so I I don't know if some questions were really serious answered, but he talked about Fiorentina. Said that that Fiorentina didn't have positive result the last two games. Somebody remind me, they lost against Udinese, and what did they do the game before that? Did they drew that game, or against who did they play before the Udinese one? Because I'm blanking that out. But before those two games, they were in like scintillating form. They were on smoke. They were on fire. They were beating teams. Actually, they were slapping teams, not just beating teams. They were beating teams down. Forget about the Conference League. I don't think that's a measuring stick. But even in the league, they were winning games, in my opinion, with great ease. Keane firing, scoring goals basically on a weekly basis. I know he spoke yesterday. Keane kind of putting the blame on on the club more so than on him, excuse me. And I saw people going mad about it. I don't care. It didn't work out for Keane. With us, it was never going to work out because I don't think he's a rubbish player, but I don't think he's a top player. And if he's doing well at a club like Fiorentina, then I'm good, happy for him. Like nothing against Keane. But yeah, he's on form. He's scoring the goals. But they have a very good coach. They lost against Bologna. Oh yeah, was that Bologna? Oh, two losses then. I thought they drew that game. They lost. They lost. You're right. They're right. So they they lost two games on the bounce. Bologna are not the worst teams. They picked up form. Actually, they're on pace with us right now. And Udinese, you should be beating Udinese at home. But if anyone remembers my prediction correctly at the start of the season, I think I put them in the top 10, Udinese, because I think they're a decent team. And in my opinion, Fiorentina are just slightly better. They're overperforming, and credit goes to Palladino. But I don't think there is such a massive difference between Udinese and Fiorentina. And that's just purely based on my opinion. But going back to what Motta to say on Fiorentina, yeah, they lost away to Bologna. I just looked it up, and they did. Palladino comes in from Monza, did a very good job at Monza last season. Got sticked up, with some, I don't know, that was just a poor team. Still did a fantastic job. They have players individually, I agree with Motta, who are good on an individual basis. They're quick when they attack. If you leave the space for them to just counterattack you, they will kill you. They absolutely will kill you. We've seen that, and that's when it got me thinking to the thing we're trying to do right now. The new formation we're trying to do with, Colt Miners dropping it a bit deeper, and if it's Gonzalez or if it's Yildiz behind Vlahovic, basically saying on paper with two midfielders on that pitch, and with all the good it potentially could bring to the table. I think we've seen some of the good and some of the bad, and that's where I'm looking at. The bad is against Cagliari in the Coppa Italia and against Monza. I thought we left a lot of space in midfield. It was way too easy, in my opinion, for Cagliari and Monza to play between the lines. And when I talk about way too easy, for the level of opponents we're playing, if that happened against an Inter and a Napoli this season, I'm like, yeah, they have quality. They will play out between the lines, and they will, find the space, more often than not. But it was against Cagliari and Monza, and that was my worry. I was like, okay, I'm all for the formation change because we need to do something, because what we have been doing all season basically it's not really working. So we need to do something, but the space we leave is could be deadly if you play against a better side, and Fiorentina are a better side, especially on the break. So if you leave a lot of space, they will kill you, and you're not coming back from that against Fiorentina unless you have an insane type of performance, which we haven't seen since ages, and that goes back to last season as well. So that's something we need to worry about tomorrow. But at the end of the day, you play at home and you need to push. Like, you need to win that game. The pressure is on us, which is good, as it should. Even if we're top of the league, the pressure is always on us because you are the biggest club in the country, and you need to embrace that. That's what Malta also said. Said, I get the pressure, and that's it. I embrace the pressure, and we move on. We move on from with the pressure, and we keep it going. Give me 1 sec, people. Sorry. Oh, that's better for me. Apologize. But yeah, the pressure is what it is, and now because we're drawing so many games, the pressure is even more more on us because we need to start winning games. We haven't won nearly enough games in the league. If we drew games against top teams, and we did, by the way, but we drew games against Cagliari, Venezia, Empoli, Parma, like those are results, especially at home. You can slip up away from home. Everybody does. Even when we were dominating Serie A, we slipped up in games. Like with opponents where you're like, really? We didn't beat them? The worst of the worst. It happens, and that's part of the game. But if you do that consistently, and especially at home, you have an issue because if it's Venezia at home, it's Cagliari at home, it's Parma at home, that's just not good enough. As simple as that. So the pressure is on, and it should be on. It really should on. If we lose to Fiorentina, I will officially call it a crisis, is RMB saying. I would agree. I would agree. I think it's a mini crisis now already, but like it's officially. Even if we don't win against Fiorentina, I'm gonna, I'm gonna raise you. If we don't win, even if it's 1-1 or 2-2, I'm gonna call it a crisis because we're just not winning games. Like we're not winning games, and it will be tougher because you're playing Atalanta away and Napoli away. Like it's getting worse. It's not getting easier. Not to say that Fiorentina is just an easy game. Uh, I'm not claiming that. However, if you again do not win, I would agree. Like I'm going to say, if we don't win, I'm going to call it a crisis. We 100% need to win that game tomorrow. And I believe we will win. I will get into that later on, and not purely based on what I've seen the last couple of weeks, but purely based um, on um, on what I've said, a couple of weeks ago. It's like for some reason I think we will beat Fiorentina no matter what happened between that show I did and now. Um, let me let me put up some. Let me read out the comment section really quickly. Okay, let me get this one. A win will most likely give us fourth place. It's very important, absolutely doable. Fiorentina are outperforming their chances massively. They are breaking at the moment. Time to strike now. Are we fourth? Oh, you mean in general getting top four? You mean by the end of the season, or do you mean right now getting top four, or just sitting fourth in the table before the international, before the winter break? Is that what you mean? Fiorentina are overperforming. Excuse me. I think they will have a setback. That's why when people are talking about top four is gone, it's way too soon to talk about that because Lazio are just on an insane pace. They probably not. I've seen Lazio do that in the past and then collapse. I've seen Fiorentina do that as well. I've seen other teams do that, and it's just the expectation that we will outdo them. So I'm gonna stick with that. Yeah, I have the glasses on because I'm not in my setup and I cannot read the comments without, because I don't have the screen very close. It's a bit farther away, so without the glasses I cannot read the comment section. Another draw coming, as James saying, we will be the first team in Serie A to go undefeated and lose the Scudetto. That will be crazy. That will be actually be insane. But we will lose a game in Serie A. We will lose a game. If we play like this, you will get beaten by Atalanta away from home or Napoli. It's just gonna happen. It's bound to happen. And actually, we should have lost against Venezia and Bologna if we are being completely honest. Last minute pen, last minute goal basically. We got away with it, so we should have lost the game by now in Serie A. So it's gonna happen, but that will actually be insane. Top four isn't gone, but we have to get our act together now. I agree. No fourth place right now. We would overtake Fiorentina and maybe even Lazio. They play Atalanta. They played Atalanta today, right? That's a good game to watch. Probably draw in that game as well, I think. Okay, let's move on to maybe the positive news. Let's go on a positive note. Everybody is back, besides Milik and obviously the two injured players. Danilo is in the squad. We'll talk about Danilo in a sec. Douglas Luiz is in the squad. Gonzalez made it as well. So Colt Miners is in the squad. Not in which capacity, we don't know, because Mota said, I will see to it tomorrow. He said, I cannot talk about the formation because not even the players know the formation. I will inform them on who's going to play and what we're going to do. Not on what we're going to do, but probably who's going to play tomorrow. So I don't know. We don't know if Nico Gonzalez is fit enough to play a game. He talked about it. He said he had some fatigue post Monza game. So we had, something prep for him, an individual training, regime, whatever you want to call it. And he followed that, and he's back. Douglas Luiz is back, which I will talk about in a sec. And that's important. Obviously, that's important. They're not 100% fit. And they cannot count, like, it's impossible for Douglas Luiz to be 100% because he hasn't been on 100% ever since he came back. The quote -1, I think that will be much, much closer to 100%. I think like he had just kind of a knock type of thing, in my opinion. And the Nico Gonzalez one, I have no clue what that was. Muscle fatigue. Like, I've seen players go down with muscle fatigue and be out for 2-3 weeks, and he's been out for, I don't know, 2-3 days. So probably he's gonna be close to 100% fit. So it's good to have options, even if it's like last 10-15 minutes. We've seen Nico Gonzalez come on and do damage in a limited amount of time, because that's a player he is. And with damage, when I talk about damage with Nico Gonzalez, I'm not talking on. I'm talking about coming on and dismantling an opponent and doing some of the craziest stuff you'll ever see. He just comes on and has an impact with the goals and the assists. That's it. That's what he does, and that's what I said when we signed him. That's why he's going to be important for Motta, because no matter where you played him, like you played him on the right, behind the strikers, he's still getting the goals and the assists in a very limited amount of time. So it's just the player he is. I think I'm not going to compare it, by the way. It's because I think like pure individual quality is better. But Bruno Fernandes is horrible on the ball. Like, actually one of the worst players. Okay, playing at a top club with a top wage, one of the worst players on a technical level is Bruno Fernandes I've seen in a very long time. Like, on the ball, it feels like he's handling a grenade every single week. But there was a time that he was getting goals and assists and putting it out at the disaster performances, but he ended up with 1 goal and 2 assists. Now, I think Nico Gonzalez is better on a technical level, just a better footballer. But he gets the stat. He gets it, and some stats don't mean anything. They don't, but they do for us right now. They do. We need goals. We need assists. And Nico Gonzalez will provide you goals and assists. And actually, to be honest, I think he's just a good footballer. Yes, the price tag is what it is, but I'm not going to hold that against him because I think he will have an impact. So having him back, even at 75% tomorrow, and I'm just saying 75% is massive for us. It's key. I was talking about Douglas Luiz, and he talked about Douglas Luiz. Let me bring that up really quickly before I move on to the other stuff. Okay, he was asked about Douglas Luiz because lately there are a lot of rumors about him potentially already leaving and back to Aston Villa, going to Man City, and whatever, Newcastle links. I've seen, I've read it all, and I said it's impossible the club will sell him because I don't think the club are going to do that in January when they have got, what it is, like he had 2 errors especially against Cagliari. Against Leipzig, it's an error, to put your hands up like that. But I've seen players do that countless amount of times, even the best players out there. It's a reaction. It shouldn't happen in modern football in terms of like you should be drilled into knowing that you shouldn't put your hands up, but it happens on basically a weekly basis. So that's that. Against Cagliari, that was boneheaded. He hasn't played much. He hasn't played much, and I don't believe the club is going to give up on Douglas Luiz and the investment they made based on 6 games, 7, like whatever. How many games did he actually feature in? I don't think that's gonna happen. But he was asked about that, and it was interesting what he had to say because it was like a lot of ifs and hopes. He said that I believe in Douglas a lot. He's been out for a while now, so of course he's in a different physical condition to the others. Over the years, he's shown he can play in a lot of positions. He scored goals and has shown his value. As I said before, continuity makes a difference. I hope and believe that he can be a help to us. Um, I still believe in him because I've seen the qualities, like Mota said. I've seen like that just doesn't disappear based on a couple of games. Like it's impossible. Like that happens. That potentially can happen if you had a one-off good season at Villa, or if you are at a certain stage in your career, if you're aging, then yes, the drop-off can be Sandro. I think Sandro's drop-off was insane. Quadrado's drop-off from that one season to the last seasons was insane. Those things can happen, I think. With Douglas Luiz, for me, it's very unlikely that that has taken place right now. Now, when he comes back and if he can stay fit, that's the thing right now. Stay fit to have some sort of continuity, like Mota is saying, to actually show anything, something to suggest that, okay, I need to start you because you're gonna have an impact, you're gonna add some value to this team. He needs to stay fit, obviously. My point is, or my question is, and nobody asked Mota that, and I was kind of disappointing. Where does he fit in? I don't know where he fits in. Let's say everybody's fit. Let's say he's fit for 2 months straight, and you can actually use him. And let's say we play with this formation, meaning one playing behind Vlahovic and quote unquote on paper 2 midfielders, which is not really the case, but 2 midfielders. Does he play the 10? Does he play the double pivot with Locatelli? Like, where are you gonna play him? And actually, is he good enough in those positions? Because I think, from what I've seen against Villa, he's at his best when he can drive with the ball a little bit. When he can set up some pressure and play a bit closer to goal, I think he's at his best. Now, where he's going to play, I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. I think right now it's please stay fit. Like, just stay fit so, I don't know, like everybody can put a fair opinion on him. Because right now it's very tough to put. I cannot base my opinion on Villa because what he has done at Villa was cool, but you're not doing it for us. So what you did at Villa is irrelevant to me. It's like it happened at Villa. I cannot. It doesn't translate into Juve. So yeah, kind of pointless. Like, if I'm being completely honest. So it's good to have him back, and maybe this little week break, whatever, winter break with the Supercoppa is what we need, because somebody remind me, we play we play Milan next Friday in the Supercoppa. What is the next league game? It's Torino, but is it the next Sunday or the next Saturday? So you potentially have a two week break, depending on how Motta is gonna tackle that Supercoppa. If he's gonna take that serious, or if he's just gonna use it to try some things out, and maybe rest some players here and there. I don't know, but if he can stay fit in these 3 week span, then maybe he's fit enough to actually contribute in the next 6 games in the league after Fiorentina, because we're gonna need every single living soul out there when we go through Torino, Napoli, Atalanta, Milan, Bruges, Benfica. We're gonna need everybody. Those are the games that are coming up, and we like every single player out there because somebody is gonna go down. We've seen it this season, but he believes in them. So let's see. I think that was kind of interesting because yeah, I don't think we're gonna sell Vlahovic, Douglas Luiz in January. Um, Okay. Then he talked about just in general about his football. The balance between attacking, saying that possession counts in football, but it's not the most important thing. He said if you keep the ball, you have a better chance of success. That's what he said. I think he also said that the first presser, something like that, or the second presser, he said if you keep possession, it's much easier to win games, which hasn't really been the case for us this season. But he also said that we can also win in a different way. Look at Man City; we didn't have the ball, and we win that game. We won that game quite easy, in my opinion, at the end of the day. And he was kind of pointing out that yeah, attacking play is all good, and that's what he's trying to do with the possession. and build something up. But it's not the most important thing. You can also quote unquote sit back and hit the teams on the break, or just pick your moment and close it out. I think the issue is that, for example, last season we were trying to do that week in, week out, no matter who we play. We could play Monza away from home, Fiorentina, Inter, like at home. Our plan was always to just sit back, soak up the pressure, and then try to hit teams on the break, which is never a good thing, in my opinion, if you're Juve, especially when you're playing at home, when there are expectations. I don't think it's important. Why is my YouTube not loading? I don't think that's the way to go. To approach certain games. Give me 1 second. My YouTube studio is down. Give me 1 sec. Here we go. Yeah, we'll pop up in a sec. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to the final part of the show, predictions and predict the lineup. Now, Monta said I didn't pick my team, any of my players, know who's going to play, so he's going to do that tomorrow. So the predicted lineups from Sky Italia, I don't even know how to judge it, but what I've seen and I've checked half an hour before I started the live, the last thing they had on was Di Gregorio starting, it was Savona, it was Gatti Kalulu, it was Cambiasso starting as well. No, excuse me, I'm lying. It was McKennie starting. Sorry, apologize. The last thing I saw was McKennie starting. It was Locatelli. It was Cope Miners who was getting the start. Then it was Nico Gonzalez, who they put on, and then it was Conceição, Vlahovic, and Yildiz. So no real changes compared to the last game. But again, it's big question marks with Cope Miners. Is he fit? Is Nico Gonzalez fit? What about Cambiasso? A lot of question marks rather than answers, because the presser didn't, gave us anything really. So maybe it's just a very easy predicted lineup, which is probably maybe not going to be the case for tomorrow. But, just wait and see, I guess. No matter who plays, we need just a stellar performance overall to beat Fiorentina, and we need that win desperately. We desperately need that win, So my prediction for tomorrow, I've went back and forward with it, but for some reason I have a feeling we're gonna keep a clean sheet, and I can be horribly wrong if you look at Fiorentina's results this season. But I'm gonna go 1-0. I think we're gonna win 1-0, and we need to win. We 100% need to win, like I said. Otherwise, it's gonna be a very long quote unquote break until we face Torino, and nobody wants that, looking back at a poor result, building up to another bad performance. Basically, I think nobody wants to have that, so that's my prediction. Let me know your predictions in the comments. Like the video, subscribe. It's not the end of the show. Really want to quickly talk about Danilo, and then I will wrap up the show, but that was a preview part. Now move on to Danilo, because the latest on Danilo is it's very contradicting. It's close to Napoli. It's close to Napoli. Agreement reached. Giuntoli is going to release him. No, Giuntoli wants a transfer fee. Actually, the club is denying anything. Today saying that De Laurentiis doesn't want to pay, and it's all between Juve and Danilo to find a way out of the contract. If we end up paying Danilo to leave and not get a transfer fee, I might be Giuntoli out, because that is just insane. That's disgusting. It's disgusting work. If you manage to somehow pay Danilo to leave, to kind of terminate his contract, and then not get a transfer fee in, that's insane. Then rather keep Danilo and let him sit on the bench. If you're gonna pay him to leave and you don't get any money in, then just keep him and let him sit on the bench. And you might never know when you absolutely desperately need him in a game against, I don't know, at home against Genoa, like whatever it is, then I'd rather do that. If somehow we end up in a situation where we are paying Danilo to leave, actually paying and not getting anything in, that's the worst type of business you can possibly do, because it's not that Danilo doesn't have offers. Like, it's not an Arthur situation. Nobody wants him, and you need to wait weeks and weeks and months basically before somebody actually comes forward like Real Betis. He has offers, from Brazilian league to Napoli, maybe Milan. He has offers, and I'm not talking about a 10 million transfer fee. It's just the bare minimum to cover the wages you paid him this season to do absolutely nothing besides a couple of games. That is the bare minimum you should be getting out of Danilo leaving the club. If not, then, I mean, that's just a horrible, stinky job you're doing. If you manage not to get anything out of it, and you actually need to pay to get rid of him, that will be absolutely insane. But let's see how that will go. Probably no new information past tomorrow. So we'll talk about that on Monday again. Yeah, that's it for me, people. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'll be back tomorrow, reaction Fiorentina, and then I will be back live Monday for a breakdown / transfer window update, and we will go from there. Building up towards the Supercoppa, I guess, and building up towards potential signings coming in. Yeah, but that's it for me, people. Again, like the video, and I'll speak to you guys tomorrow. Ciao.